how to speak about these topical issues, these difficult things that are going on. But speak about them. Don't shy away. Because you know what? We have a duty. We owe it. Not only to ourselves, not only to our religion, but to those who before us have given their sacrifices. See, each and every one of us has a sacrifice that we have to make. Each and every one of us has effort that we have to go through. It feels like it's so easy for us in this day and age to come here to Majlis. We sit, we do our Majlis, we go home, fine. You see, it's not easy at all. Not because of the effort it takes us. No, that bit is easy. And if you think that's difficult, then you're in for a shock when you hear the rest of the lecture, because that bit's easy. I want us today to understand just a little bit. This lecture that we've got, this majalis that we've got, this remembrance of Aba Abdullah that we've got, this faith of Shia Islam that we've got, this faith of Islam at all that we've got, it didn't get to us easily. When we talk about making sacrifices and making efforts to help people around the world to maintain our faith, to do Islah in society, we have a responsibility. Every age in history, every nation has had some responsibility, some difficulty that they've had to go through. But sometimes I feel like we forget that. Sometimes I feel like it's important for us, especially those of us who are younger, it's important for us to remember how we got to this point. You see, at least in the UK, Azadari, and particularly for the Indo-Pak community, the Indian and Pakistani community, it started in South London. It started in the house of a man by the name of Siraj Hussain. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him mercy. Marhum Siraj Hussain in his house, and those of you, I'm not sure if anybody in this room was familiar, but all over the UK people were familiar with him. Why? Because he began the first open majalis in the UK. The start of Azadari in Tooting Bec, he began it in his basement, in the basement of his house. And that became what is today known as Idara Jafriya. Many of you will have been to Idara Jafriya. That comes from there. Alhamdulillah, those who are familiar with the family, those who know the family of Marhum Siraj Hussain, they still get to go to majalis every year in that same basement, where Azadari in the UK began, particularly for the Indian Pakistani community. That's where it started off. And from there, what did it become? What happened? From there, it turned into, let's try and rent out a hall and do it in a hall instead of the basement, because there's so many people. People used to come from all over the UK. Oftentimes, if you meet Shias, particularly of the Pakistani and Indian heritage, a lot of them will tell you, yeah, our roots trace back to, if they've been in the UK for a while, our roots trace back to either South London or Hounslow in West London. Why? Because it started off in Siraj Uncle's basement in South London, and everybody would go there for majalis. And you know what? The level of commitment was such that people, wherever they lived in the UK, they decided, no, we want to get a house near the Imam Barga. There's an Imam Barga, there's a place where there's majalis, we want to get a house there. So people moved towards South London. From there, they started renting a hall. So the basement turned into a hall. From there, they got a building, which is today known as Idara Jafriya, which many of you will have visited. We see we got there, but it came through struggle and strife. People sacrificed a lot. They took out mortgages on their houses. They remortgaged their houses, refinanced their mortgages. They gave up everything. They wouldn't go on holiday for years. Why? So they can save up to pay for a centre, so that they could have a place. This is very Zainabiya Reading. Look, I don't know the history of Zainabiya Reading, but I remember when there was no Zainabiya Reading. I remember, and the reason I remember it is because here, you guys used to organise a football tournament in Reading, and we used to come from all over the UK, and the point of that football tournament was to raise funds for the centre, so that you guys could have a centre. We didn't always have this. But look, that's easy stuff. That stuff is minor, that stuff is simple. There was a time where if you wanted to go and visit Aba Abdullah Hussein's grave, you had to give up a limb. Either a hand or an arm or a foot or a leg, you had to. And see, when you say things like this, you think, wow, tyrant rulers of the times of our imams were so terrible, but that wasn't the times of our imams. That was in our parents' and grandparents' lifetimes. In the time when you had to cut off a limb to go and visit Aba Abdullah, and people still did. Don't think people stopped visiting Imam Hussein. People still did. They would sacrifice their limbs to go visit their master. That was less than 100 years ago. In fact, maybe 50, 60 years ago. There were times, and I remember this because I myself have been to those protests, been to those sit-ins and those standings against the oppression that happened in Pakistan, that happened with the Hazara community. There was one point in August of, I think it was 1989, and I don't remember that because I'm born in 99, so 10 years after. Or in fact, no, it was 1998 because it was 1 year before I was born. August 1998, there was an attack on the Shia community who are also known as the Hazara community in a part of Pakistan. In that singular attack, in that 1 month, an ongoing onslaught, they say about 4,000 people were killed. Between 2,000 to 4,000 people were killed in 1 month. Can you imagine? In a single month, that's the attack that took place. And at the end of it, you know what everyone was told? Everyone who survived, they were told, if you don't leave Shia Islam, it will happen again and again and again. It will come for each and every one of your lives if you don't leave Shia Islam. Go look at Karachi. There was a report that said over the span of about 8 years, 4,000 people were killed in Karachi. In fact, in Hazara, in Quetta, it was about 2,000. In Karachi, it was about 4,000. In Karachi, over the span of 8 years, 4,000 people, Shias, were killed. Why? Because they are Shia. Somebody do the math. Somebody who has your phone on you, 365 times 8. How many days are there in 8 years? If somebody has their phone on them, check it. How many days are there in 8 years? That 4,000 people were killed over that time span. When you think about it, when you look at it, the level of sacrifice that our people have given for us to be able to sit here and do these majalis. 365 times 8. What's that? It's something, 2,000 something around that. I'm not that great at maths in my head, but it's 2,920. Less than 3,000 days. We're talking about more than one janazah every day on average for the shuhada. These are people who gave their lives for our religion. These are people who, we're not talking about the A'immah yet. We're not talking about the companions yet. We're talking about ordinary people like me and you who today are in heaven. Why? Because they refuse to give up on this Azadari. They refuse to give up on the message and the mission of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. They gave their lives. See, more than one janazah a day. It's very difficult to imagine. It's very difficult to fathom. That's the level of sacrifice our people have given. That's the level that our people have gone to. They gave limbs to go and visit Abu Abdullah. They gave lives. And I'll tell you one thing, and this is something my dad told me himself. Because my dad, he lived through that time in Karachi. Many of your parents will have as well. Go ask them about it. Go ask them about the times you've lived through it. See, in fact, can I see a show of hands? How many of you have lived through the times of Shia killing in Pakistan at least? We've got people in this hall. Go ask your elders. Go ask your parents. What were those times like? When they would attack houses because they knew a Shia lives in this house, they wouldn't just attack them, they would set them ablaze, they would burn them down. They would attack Imam Bargas. When there was a majlis, they would come and they would attack those majalis. They would kill and maim people. Why? Because they believe in Ali ibn Abi Talib. Because they stand up for what is right. They believe in Abu Abdullah's mission and message. Why? You have to ask yourselves why. My dad told me, and this is one of the things that I have such great pride over. He says when they used to attack the julus, the marches of the Shias, he said, you know what would happen? Mothers before the julus would prepare their sons. See, if a mother knows that her son's going somewhere dangerous, what does she do? Don't go, stay at home. Protect yourself, don't leave. You're not going there, it's too dangerous. But what did mothers do before these julus? And again, don't think I'm talking about 100 years ago. I'm talking about your parents' lives. And it still goes on today. What did mothers do? They used to prepare their children. My dad says he knew people whose mothers would give them something to use as a weapon in case somebody tried to attack. Mothers are arming and preparing their children. Why? Because they know that today when he goes to the julus, he might not come back, but I want my son to make me proud. I don't want my son to be afraid. I don't want him to shy away. This is what is the value of our Azadari. This is what we've gone through to get to where we are today. To be part of the mission of Hussein. For many of those who we know, many of those you live with, your parents have seen these times. They've gone through those kind of sacrifices, but that doesn't mean we don't have a sacrifice to make. That doesn't mean that because they made those sacrifices, we don't have sacrifices of our own to make. No. We have our sacrifices as well. It's difficult for us as well, but difficult in a different way. Nobody's asking you to give your life. Nobody's asking you to go running after Shahada. In fact, we're not meant to go running after Shahada. I remember it was about 2014 or 15 where me and my family, we went to Iraq. And we went with a group of ulama and their families. Some of you may have heard the name of the organization, Majlis Ulama Shia Europe. It's a group of all the ulama, well, many of the ulama of Europe. And the group organized a trip for the ulama and their families to go for ziyarat in Iraq. So we went, and in that time, ISIS and Daesh, the terrorist organizations that particularly target Shias, they were at their peak. We went for our ziyarat, But we were told we're not going to go to Qadamain and Samra. Why? Because the route, it's dangerous. We're not going to go. So me and a few of the boys, all Maulana's sons, we all got together and we were like, we really want to go. The group's not going, we get it. Everyone's got their wives with them and things like that. They're not going, fine. At the time, we were about 14, 15, something like that. And we were like, you know what, we really want to go. So we went and we found a taxi driver. And we said to him, look, will you take us? You know, our families aren't taking us, will you take us? And he said, I'll take you, but I won't be able to bring you back. I can't bring you back. And we're like, that's fine, we'll get another taxi from there. He goes, no, you didn't understand what I mean. He said, I'll take you, but none of us will come back. He says, on the route, we'll be killed. There's no chance that we go there and survive. So we will be shot. And us boys raised in the families of ulama, alhamdulillah, raised in the families of Maulanas, alhamdulillah, we were like, we're ready, let's go. This is shahadat. We've been trained for this. We've been told our whole lives, shahadat is a sa'adat. It's a virtue. The idea of becoming shaheed is beautiful. I love the idea. Brilliant. All of us were ready. We went to our parents, like, look, we found somebody. We're ready. We want to go. At that point, our parents sat us down. And these are all Maulanas. They're like, you can't go. We're dismayed. But you've told us our whole lives, shahadat is what you're aiming for. Martyrdom in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what you should try and achieve. That's how you want the perfect death to be. However gruesome, however gory, however bloody, in the way of Allah, that's how you want to give your life. But now when we've got a chance, you're telling us no. We've got a chance to achieve martyrdom, we've got a chance to achieve shahadat, and you're telling us we can't go. That is not right. We're like, why? And they explain to us that you don't go looking for shahadat. You don't go looking for martyrdom. No, it comes and finds you. Martyrdom comes to you. You don't go to it. Why? Because you don't just become a shaheed. At the time of the assassination of Shaheed Qasim Soleimani, we see it in a lot of the speeches, the rhetoric there, where it said what? In Farsi it said, Shaheed Shudan yani Shaheed Budan. It means to become a shaheed means to have been a shaheed already. To live your life as a martyr. To live your life as a martyr, then you can achieve death as a martyr. Then you can achieve martyrdom. Then you can give your life for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you can only give your life for Allah when your life was for Allah already. Now here, we're not running looking for martyrdom. Right now, we don't have to give our lives to be part of the mission of Aba Abdullah. What's our sacrifice? What do we have to do? If you go look at what happened, what's happening rather in Palestine, what's the least you can do? Before you buy something, just check, am I sending money to the oppressive forces? When I buy this, am I going to be helping Israel financially? And I know it feels like I'm only spending £2. It's not going to make a difference to them. It does. Because when everybody stops, then that money runs dry. And that's what they care about. You see, in this world, there's a reason why all those attacks on Shias happened. There's a reason why all those attacks on Azadari happened. What was that reason? Because the world's powers are afraid of Azhar Hussein. The world's powers are afraid of those who believe in Mawlaya Kainat, Amir al-Mu'min, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the reason they're afraid is because they know that we will not back down from the truth. You know what happened every time a janazah was raised of a shaheed? They tried to burn and murder and attack us. Why? So that we would stop these majalis azhar. But every time somebody dies, what do we as the Shia do? We hold another majlis, and another majlis, and another majlis. And my father, he tells me, every time there was an attack on the julus, that same julus, every time that there was an attack on a march, that same march the next year, there would be double the number of people. Because we don't back down. And the way the rest of the world looks at our Azadari, the way the rest of the world looks at how we remember Mawla Hussein is this. Their fear and their worry is, if they will go to such great lengths, if they will go so far for their Imam who left this world almost 1400 years ago, then just imagine what they'll do when their Imam is standing in front of them once again. Just imagine what they'll do when their Imam returns and is standing in front of them. They go to these lengths for an Imam who they have never seen. An Imam who their parents, nor grandparents, nor great-grandparents have seen. They go to such lengths for an Imam who they've only ever been told about. What will they do when there's an Imam standing in front of them? They won't stop at anything. And don't think we as the Shia aren't strong. We might be small in number compared to the rest of the armies of the world, but I promise you the Shia are strong. ISIS and Daesh, which waged rule over Iraq for so long, one time they dared to attack Karbala, One time they dared to attack the Haramain. They didn't even get to attack it. They said they would. Ayatollah Sistani, he did what? He issued an order, not to all the Shia of the world, just the Shia of Iraq. Come and protect your Haramain. ISIS was pushed so far back that it was considered their biggest defeat. Us as the Shia, we're a strong nation. But only if we stick to the values we learn in these majalis. Only if we stick to the values that are part of the mission of Aba Abdullah. So make sure you remember, my part in the mission is there as well. Just because people have gone through sacrifice before me, it doesn't mean there's no sacrifice for me. I have a sacrifice to make. Sacrificing those things which we enjoy, the luxuries in these days of Azai, Aba Abdullah, in these days of Muharram, sacrificing going out with your mates, for instance, sacrificing, I don't know, in some houses we sacrifice TV, some houses we won't get a haircut over these 10 days. These little things, these are little sacrifices, right? It doesn't compare to sacrifices that was made before, but we still have to make sacrifices. And I'll tell you what, it's not easy to give your life. It's not easy at all. And I'm not playing that down in one way at all. But we have in the hadith that the hardest time to maintain your faith will be when? Will be in the last of days. And I truly believe we're in the last of days. I truly believe that the whole of our Imam will be in our lifetime. I truly believe it. Now see, if somebody comes up to you and they say to you, give up your faith now or give up your life. Your energy, what you call in Urdu Josh, your spirit, it might make you give your life. It might tell you, you know what, I'm not giving up my faith. But every single minute of every single day, in a world like the world we live in today, to remain a Muslim, to remain true to your faith, that is an unbelievable sacrifice. It's not easy at all to remain true to your faith in this world. So keep true to your faith. Keep educating yourself. Keep learning for yourself and for those around you. Keep improving those around you. When you do that islah of society, that betterment of society, then you will see the world around you improve. And inshallah, one day we will see a world where we will be able to take out marches and processions in every country and every city in the world, and you won't have any problems like we've seen in Karachi. You won't have any attacks like we saw in Oman last night. You won't have any attacks like have happened on the Hazaras or the Kashmiris or anywhere around the world. You'll see oppression wiped from this world one day, inshallah, be it Palestine, Kashmir, in the Hazara Kuwaita community, be it Yemen or Iraq or Libya or Syria, wherever it is. If you stay true to your religion, improve those around you, that collective effort will one day be the reason why our Imam returns, why he sees the world and says it is ready, and then you will see the wiping out of oppression from the world. Then you will see the freedom of those who are oppressed. Then you will see the truth shine through. And when you see the truth shine through, then you'll realize there's no better religion than Islam. There's no better path than Islam, because you'll see how the world will change. You'll see how much the world will improve. And inshallah, we do all get to see that day. Recite ala salawat ala Muhammad wa ala. Today is the 9th of Muharram. There will inshallah be majalis in English on the 11th and 12th, and inshallah I will be here for those days. But I recognize that many people, they don't get to make it to the majalis of the 11th and 12th of Muharram. So before I move on to Messiah, I do want to just take a moment to thank the Mu'mineen of Reading for coming here and listening to me, for allowing me to be here for these days, and at the same time for taking care of me. Honestly, I've thoroughly taken beauty from my time here in Reading. MashaAllah. The youngsters of this community, the boys, are amongst the best behaved I've seen in all the places I've traveled to. They're amongst the most committed to the mission of Aba Abdullah amongst all the communities I've traveled to. Alhamdulillah.
محمد و اهل بیت محمد بلندتر صلوات. نہایت واجب الاحترام عزیزم ذکی رضوی کی صحت و سلامتی اور زیادہ علم کے لیے بآواز بلند مل کے صلوات.
Jazakallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all your ibadat and raise yourselves and your children to be men like those who you wish them to be. like those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes them to be. See, when we talk about the youngsters of any town, of any place, we always look to examples. And there's few examples like my Mawla Ali. There's few examples like Ali al-Akbar, the son of Aba Abdullah Hussein. See, simply the name of Ali Akbar is enough to bring tears to the eyes. Why? Ali Akbar, he wasn't just the son of Imam Hussein. In every house, you have a golden child. In every house, you have that child who everybody loves, who everybody looks after. And when it's the house of the Ahlul Bayt, it's not just the members of the household that love them, but people from far and wide. At the time of the birth of Hazrat Ali al-Akbar, people came from far and wide all day on the day of the Wilada of Hazrat Ali Akbar, and each and every one of them would come and they would give gifts to Mawla Hussein, or rather they would come to Mawla Hussein, they would give him congratulations, and Mawla Hussein would give them a gift in return. He would give them something. Why? Because today you came to visit my Akbar. Today you came to visit my child, my prince. They say Hazrat Ali al-Akbar, amongst all the members of Imam Hussein's family, he was the one who had the very, very close relationship with who? Our Holy Prophet Rasulullah, the grandfather of Abu Abdullah. How? In the way he looked, in the way he walked, in the way he talked, in the way he spoke. Ali Akbar was the spitting image of Rasulullah in every way, shape or form. They say that Sayyidah Zainab, for her, Ali al-Akbar was like her own son. Why? There were many years after the marriage of Bibi Zainab and Hazrat Abdullah ibn Ja'far at-Tayyar where Bibi Zainab did not have any children of her own. She says during that time Imam Hussein had given Hazrat Ali Akbar to Sayyidah Zainab, Zainab, have my son. Raise my Akbar for me. Take care of my child, Zainab. Then that fateful night arrives, the 9th of Muharram. Abul Fadl Abbas takes Akbar to one side. You heard it in Masaib the other day. He says, Akbar, tomorrow the battle will begin. Here's what we will do. Akbar, you take the boys to one side. You take one flank of Yazid's army. I will take on another. The companions will take on the other two. The plan was set. The plan was ready. Everybody knew what they wanted to do. The time for Fajr arrives. Abu Abdullah, in the camps of Abu Abdullah, he had a mu'adhin, somebody who would recite the azan every day, but on this day, Abu Abdullah, he turns to his mu'adhin, he says, today, no, today I miss my grandfather very much, today I miss Rasulullah. He turns and he calls on his Akbar, he says, Akbar, today, I want to hear you give adhan in the voice of my grandfather. Now Ali al-Akbar, he begins the adhan, the women and children begin to cry and weep, the men standing there remember Rasulullah. My heart tells me the armies of Yazid must have heard the azan of Akbar. They must have heard the voice of Rasulullah, but still they had no mercy. The day of Ashura arrives. Now the time comes where Ali al-Akbar, he approaches his father. He comes to his father. He says, my father Hussein, will you let me go and give my life for your religion? Would you let me go and give my life for the religion of Rasulullah? See, whenever any of the Shuhada would come to Mawla Hussein would find some reason to deter them. When Qasim came, he said, Qasim, you are the last remaining sign of my brother Hassan, I cannot let you go. When Abbas came, he said, Abbas, you are the leader of my army. When Honor Muhammad came, he said, I do not know if I have your father's permission. When Hur came, he said, Hur, you are my guest, I have not given you any water, I can't let you go yet. When John came, he said, John, I cannot let you go, you are a great servant of my family. When Habib came, he said, Habib, you are my oldest friend, how can I let you go? But when Akbar came to Hussein, Hussein looks at Akbar, he says, Akbar, my son, you have my permission, go to the battlefield. Hussein won't stop you, but Akbar, do one thing for me. Before you go and get permission from your mother. Hazrat Akbar, he goes to Bibi Layla. Bibi Layla says, Akbar, of course you have my permission, I have been waiting for you to go and give your life. Akbar, go, give your sacrifice. Hazrat Ali al-Akbar, he returns to his father Hussein. He says, my father Hussein, I have gotten permission from my mother. She has given me permission to go. Abu Abdullah looks at him, he says, Akbar, She may be the mother who birthed you. She may be the mother who gave birth to you. But Akbar, what of that mother who raised you? Have you gotten the permission of Zainabiya Khatun? Go and get permission from that mother of yours who raised you with her own two hands. Now Akbar goes walking back and forth outside the tent of Bibi Zainab, wondering to himself, how will I ever get permission from my auntie Zainab, like a mother to me like a son to her? At one point he enters the tent. Whenever Hazrat Ali al-Akbar had a question, we are told he would go to Sayyidah Zainab and ask her. He comes to her in this moment. He says, my auntie Zainab, I have a question to ask you. Sayyidah Zainab, she looks at him, she tells him, Akbar, tell me, what is your question? What do you wish to ask? He looks at her and he says, tell me, who is of greater status, your son Akbar or Hussein, the son of Zahra? Zainab looks at him, she says, Akbar, what kind of question do you ask? Akbar, how can you ask this? He says, then don't stop me, my auntie Zainab. Let your son Akbar give his life for Zahra's son Hussein. Zainab says, Akbar, if you had asked me any other way, I don't know how I would have said yes, but the way you asked me, I cannot refuse you. Akbar, go give your life, go fight your battle. It is said now, Ali al-Akbar, he went and he got ready for battle. Bibi Layla prepares her son. Now, Ali al-Akbar, before he leaves, he is called back to the tent of Sayyidah Zainab. He is told, Akbar, the women and the children, they wish to give it farewell. The women and children wish to say goodbye to you one last time. According to the narrations, it was seen as Ali al-Akbar went into the tent. He spent a great amount of time in there. At one point, the narrator says, I saw the entrance to the tent open, but just as it opened, it closed again. Again, I saw it open. Again, it closed. According to the narrations, it happened a different number of times. Some quote 18. Some say all the way up to 40 times the door of the tent, the entrance would open and shut. Why? It is said that in that moment, Ali al-Akbar, every time he tried to leave the tent, somebody would pull him back. Somebody would call him back. They would grab his sleeve and pull him. They would grab him by the shoulder and pull him back. My heart tells me there must have been a moment where a little girl grabbed the bottom of his abba, pulling him back, saying, Akbar, how can your Sakina let you go? It is said the last time where Ali al-Akbar, he wished to leave, but they would not let him. Abu Abdullah himself came to the tent. Hussein ibn Ali himself comes into the tent. He tells everyone, enough. The time has come for Akbar to go. Let Akbar leave. In that moment, Ali Akbar, he turns to leave, but this time he is called back again, but nobody pulled him back. Instead, there was a croaking voice heard from the corner of the tent. Who was it? There had been a man in that tent unconscious the whole time. He woke up in this moment. The cry that was heard was called. What was said? Akbar, what crime did your brother commit that you leave without saying goodbye to your Sajjad? Akbar, come see your brother one last time. Ali al-Akbar goes. He bids farewell to Sajjad. He holds him close. Now Akbar begins to leave. He mounts his horse. He begins riding out towards the battlefield. But as he's riding, he can hear something behind him. He can hear a patter of footsteps. As Akbar speeds up, the footsteps speed up. At one point, Akbar hears a thud on the ground behind him. He stops and he looks back. What does he see? Hussein has been running behind his Akbar. Hussein has fallen to the ground. Akbar looks at his father. He says, my father, if you do not give me permission, if you keep running after me, then I will not be able to go. Abu Abdullah, he says, Akbar, if only you had a young son like yourself, you would know what goes over the heart of a father as he watches his young son leaving. Akbar, you have my permission. I won't come any further. I will wait right here. But do one thing for me, Akbar. For as long as you can until you reach the battlefield. Every few steps you take forward, just keep turning around and looking at Hussein. I want to be able to see my son's face for as long as possible. Akbar rides out to the battlefield, constantly turning back and looking at Mawla Hussein. He rides out. He begins attacking the armies. At one point, it is said Bibi Layla calls Mawla Hussein. She says, Hussein, as a mother, I have sent Akbar to give his life. But I just want to see him one last time before he does. Pray to Allah that this mother gets to see her son. Abu Abdullah raises his hands and he does not pray for Layla to see her son. What does he say? He says, oh, he who reunited Yusuf with Yaqub, let Hussein see his child one more time. Akbar, he fights his battle, returns back towards the tent. He comes to his father Hussein. He says, my father, did you see my battle? Father, are you proud of me? Did you see how I fought? Hussein says, Akbar, your father is proud of you. Akbar, your uncles are proud of you. Akbar, your grandfather Ali is proud of you. Akbar then stops. He hesitates a moment. He looks at his father. He says, my father, I don't wish to ask, but I know that I can send this whole army of Yazid to hell if only I could get one drop of water. Hussein, he calls Akbar forward. He says to him, Akbar, feel my tongue. Akbar, feel my tongue. I heard an alim describing this moment. The alim says, I think in my heart, Hussein, he did not simply want Akbar to see how thirsty he was. Akbar knew the thirst of his father. But in that moment, Hussein, as a father must do, he wanted one last chance to kiss his son goodbye. As your son gets older, you stop hugging them, you stop kissing them. Hussein knew the time is near. He wants to kiss Akbar goodbye one last time. He tells Akbar, feel my tongue. And Akbar, as he does, he jumps back. He says, my father, you are thirstier than I. In that moment, Akbar turns around. He rides out to the battlefield. Hussein ibn Ali, he stands there watching his son. Will you see what happened in the moment where Akbar rides out? As he rides out, almost every narrator narrates the same thing. Akbar was riding out, constantly chanting and calling the same thing. Ana Ali ibn al-Hussein ibn Ali. I am Ali, the son of Hussein ibn Ali. One man, he responds, he calls back, he says, by Allah, by God, if he comes towards me chanting this, I will make his father cry over his death. As Ali Akbar goes towards the man strikes a spear in the chest of Ali Akbar. Will you hear the moment that Ali fell from his horse? Let me tell you the scene of Karbala in that moment. See, the women and children would all be in the tents. They do not know what is going on in the battlefield. But when you have a son like Akbar, everybody wants to know what is happening. So what happens? Hussein, he is standing atop a small hill. His eyes are fixed on Akbar. He is watching Akbar. Sayyidah Zainab stands at the entrance to the tent. Her eyes are fixed on Hussein. Bibi Layla, she is sat on the musalla watching Sayyidah Zainab. Here, Akbar fell from his horse. Hussein fell from the hill. Zainab fell to the ground. And Layla falls into sajda. The last of the Masa'ib, the final of the Masa'ib, Hussein. Ali al-Akbar, as he falls, what does he call out? Ya Abata, alaykum minni salam. هذا جدي يقرئك السلام ويقول لك عجل القدوم علينا. Ali Akbar calls out, my father Hussein, accept my final salams. With me is my grandfather. These are the words of Ali al-Akbar. With me is my grandfather. He is telling me to tell you, come quickly to us, Hussein. Hussein rushes to the battlefield, stumbling from one side to the other, calling out, Aina, Aina Ali Akbar, where are you, my Akbar? على لعنة الله على قوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. We raise our hands in dua. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal, oh Allah, accept all our ibadat in this holy month of Muharram. Oh Allah, for all those around the world struggling under oppression, grant them freedom from their oppressors. Oh Allah, all around the world, protect the mu'mineen as they carry out their julus and their azadari. Oh Allah, for all those mu'mineen around the world struggling with ill health, grant them complete shifa. Oh Allah, for all those mu'mineen who have left this world, raise their ranks in Jannah. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Allow us to enter Jannah under his banner. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء.